This is a Not Just A Guy production. Let me talk at ya. Welcome one and all to Not Just A Guy, hosted by myself, Not Just A Guy, the guy Garrett. This is the show about struggling in storytelling. Whether you are a musician, you're an artist, you are a filmmaker, you're trying to get your art realized, and I think that something we all come to realize very quickly, and something we're realizing right now, is that ain't an easy task. I am coming to you live. Also, this is the first episode. If you're an audio listener, you won't even notice, but if you are checking this out on YouTube, this is the first episode where there's video. It is not perfect. I realize I look a little washed out just because I'm using natural lighting. So right now, this may not be how it always looks, but I wanted to look out at the beautiful, scenery, the beautiful nature, and realize, why am I not out there? I am in here speaking into a microphone. But the reason why I'm not out there is because it is hot as heck here in Southern California. I'm used to the heat. I'm from Central California, where it is dry and arid, and it sucks. It is still very hot here, but it's a lot more gooey. Also, usually I record these over at my desk, but I like this. I'm free. Look at this. I have space. I'm usually locked into the desk, like recording like this, but I can move around. I can be lively. I can have fun. Coming to you at a very, very interesting time. Obviously, if you are keeping up with the news, especially in the entertainment industry, we are amidst the strikes. The SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike. WGA went on strike first, and then SAG-AFTRA joined soon after the DGA. They already made a deal. And as someone who is I am a filmmaker, and I would like to be in all three unions. Although, directing is my passion first and foremost, as well as writing. Those are the two main things that I'm really, really into. But I also do act in things. I act in my own stuff, and so I could see myself maybe being a part of that. All that to say, I am a little disappointed that the DGA just kind of went ahead with the deal. But this is really important. This issue, people are misunderstanding, and I think there is a good portion of people that aren't in the industry that are misunderstanding what is going on. I keep seeing this thing where they see, A-list actors talking in support of the strike, and what I think what keeps popping up is people saying like, oh, well, this is just the rich trying to get richer. It's just these A-list stars wanting more money, and that is not what it is at all. People have been talking about how you have to meet a certain amount of money to be to get healthcare from the unions and SAG-AFTRA, and a lot of people aren't meeting that requirement. They aren't making enough money because they're working paycheck to paycheck, which many of us are. When I was working at Lowe's, I was working paycheck to paycheck. When I was working at the equipment center, I was working paycheck to paycheck. But the difference is, I knew, even if I missed a day because I was sick, I always knew I'm going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks. There was never a moment when I worked at either one of those jobs where I was like, I'm not going to get a paycheck. Even when we would, for the equipment center, when I went on Christmas break, or we had the school shut down for the holidays because there was no classes, and I still got paid over that break. Obviously it wasn't as much, but there was a bonus. It was all these different things. I never had to worry about that. If your main profession is acting, it's really hard, unless, once you gain a certain level of notoriety, jobs, you do get more offers. You maybe don't have to audition as much, unless you want to, unless the filmmaker wants you to. But the big thing is that there are a lot of actors that are out there auditioning, spending so much money to audition, doing callbacks, coming back, doing all these, having to rush around town, try and work around whatever job they have. They're spending so much money out of pocket, and they're having to pay rent, and they're having to pay bills, and they are, maybe they do land a gig on a streaming show, but that's a big thing, is the residuals or lack thereof that come with streaming. When you think about network television, you think about shows that go into syndication, they get over 100 episodes, your Friends, your Seinfeld, Supernatural, things like that. These shows that are very long running, the actors get residuals from that. When a movie plays on TV, an actor gets residuals from that. There's this thing where people want to just pay less for streaming residuals and give people, I've seen so many actors coming out and posting, like, some of them are getting like 27 cents, 30 some odd cents. It's like that, how like dehumanizing that is, like, to say your continued work that we are still getting eyeballs on and we're getting attention, we're getting subscribers from it, that's how much it's worth to us. It is 27 cents, 25 cents, 30 cents. Like, that is, why would you even want to be part of something like that, where you're going to be treated like your work isn't, you put in time and effort. And another thing, is people don't realize a lot of actors have to relocate for shoots. In productions, not that many shoots actually go on in the Los Angeles area. There's been so many productions that you see nowadays, they take place in Atlanta, they shoot in Pinewood Studios over in the UK, things like that. And people don't understand is you have to relocate for that. You have to stay there for the duration of the shoot. And if it's a TV show, you're there for the duration of that show's life. And if you don't make enough money from that, then not only do you have to pay for your residence and wherever you're shooting, but then you probably still have a home back somewhere else. Think about, how much you're having to pay for that and getting locked into like a lease, or, having to worry about getting a rental car so that when you aren't shooting, you can get around and, be able to live your life and not just be confined. But what is baffling to me is just this lack of any sort of empathy. Is that people aren't there? They are just looking at the surface level, and they're not even understanding the surface level. That they're saying like all actors are paid so well. No, they aren't. They really aren't. I know so many people that are acting and going to auditions and doing all these things and are having to work other jobs. There are so many filmmakers I know who, yes, they get gigs, but they also have to have something else to actually pay the bills because they aren't making that much money. It's ridiculous. Like, if this was a different kind of a union strike, like, you would understand. It's not coming from a place of selfishness. It's coming from a place of, I am putting my life into making my art, and this art is making the shareholders, the producers, the studio heads, is making them so much money that some of us cannot even fathom. Like, when I look at some of these numbers that some of the studio heads make, it is almost, it's one of those things where you look at it and you're just like, money isn't real. Like, it's like a number. Like, you just look at this number and you go, I will probably never see that much of anything. 456 million. I will never see 456 million things, like, let alone that much in money. Like, the divide is just so crazy. And it gets into the idea of how can you quantify how much someone's work is worth and how much their hard work and effort is worth. That's a different story for, to think about. What else is the big problem is that how does back end pay? If you don't know that there are some actors who will take less money up front to work on a film, in return for they get money on the back end. When movies starts making money at like the box office, they get percentage of that gross, whether it's first ticket or it's, once a certain amount is reached, then they get some. How does that work with streaming? If a movie goes straight to streaming, how are you further compensated for the deal that you made? When those kind of situations have popped up, people once again have just jumped on the rich just want more money, these actors just want more money. It's not so much about that. It's about honoring your deal. It's about honoring what that person is bringing to your production, what is making that money. I have always been for streaming in the sense that I'm a young filmmaker. I'm someone new, and streaming is opportunity. You look at some of the shows and films that have been put out through streaming, documentaries as well. They have been so diverse, and they have looked at so many different cultures, and they have told stories that would not have been told otherwise. But then it gets into this spectacleization. That's not a word, but I'm making it up. Spectacleization of streaming, trying to make streaming compete with the theatrical experience, which the two are very different experiences inherently. You can never have them be one-to-one, but when you have these movies and these streaming series that are going to straight to whatever service they're a part of, how is that money going to be made up? Because when you think about it, there's always going to be a cap to the number of subscribers a service can have. That's just math. That's just general, there eventually will be a point that it reaches, and then some people have to cancel subscriptions because they just can't pay for it anymore. Or maybe it's just they don't use it, and so they want to get rid of it, or go down to a lower tier and pay a little less. And so I think now we're at a point where streaming isn't the end all be all, and we're remembering that the theatrical experience, that is a big thing. That is a pinnacle. It is a column of filmmaking, of why these films are made in the first place, why we put our art on the big screen. But again, you have to pay the people that are putting butts in seats. That is the whole thing. You want to make these big movies that cost so much, but you need to fairly compensate not just the actors, even the top billed actors, but the background actors and people who are maybe only in a couple of scenes. You need to fairly pay the writers. We have so many stories that keep coming out about how writers go to award shows where their show is getting all this acclaim and all these nominations, and then they are still struggling to make it, or they have another job. I saw a tweet the other day about someone who was talking about how they were a series regular on a show for quite a bit, and that they would have to be moving back in with their parents not too long after that because they can't afford to continue to live down here and pursue their dream. So often it is just about the profit over the art. And look, I know how the world works. Money makes the world go round, sadly. I wish it didn't. But I know that it's called show business. It's those two words jammed together. It's show, the art, the spectacle, the exhibition, all that mixed with the business, the money, the people giving you the money, who's gonna promote the film, who's gonna market it, who's gonna do all these things. But for me, that is always going to be the killer of creativity when it comes down to, if I can't literally live, then I can't tell my art. If I can't put a roof over my head, for me, I could care less if I'm making millions of dollars. Would that be nice? Yeah, I don't think most people would mind making $1 million. But for me, as long as I am getting to tell my art my way and people are responding to it, not necessarily that it needs to be loved by everybody, because you can't please everybody. Nothing is perfect. No art is perfect. But that it inspires somebody, or it hits a chord, or strikes a chord with someone who needed that story to be told, or someone just went and had a great time watching it. It let them escape from something that was bothering them in their life, and they just got to see something awesome on the big screen, have a good time with their friends, family, a loved one. For me, that's why I do it. And I would like to, as someone who is, because I'm a filmmaker, but I'm not in the industry. That's where the divide is because, I'm not union, and I hope to be one day, and I'm aspiring to be. But the thing is, if I'm going to join those unions, I want to know that I'm valued, that I am going to be compensated, that I'm going to be taken care of, and that, that I'm not going to get screwed out of money on jobs I take just because the guidelines in these contracts allow me to be taken advantage of. And then you see these things like the idea of scanning background actors and giving them 1 day's pay, but you can use their likeness forever, like till the end of forever, watching movies in 2099. That is truly dehumanizing. To take someone's likeness, something that is so unique to them, something that is one of the only things they have ownership of, and to say, yeah, well, we paid you one time, but we're going to use your face 1,000 bajillion times, so that seems like we paid you that. No, that is the biggest mound of crap. AI can never make a movie like Jurassic Park. Think about that. I don't care what they tell you. I have the ultra super mega awesome algorithm. You will never make a movie that has any amount of magic like that. And it's just, I said it last week. You could convince me that there are aspects of AI that can help, whether those be organizational or, over maybe different mathematical approaches, or applications that you could use it for. When it comes to the magic and the personal touch of storytelling. It will never ever in a bajillion years mean jack diddly squat. And to see how hard they are, the AI keeps coming up in the negotiations, and we keep seeing how they want to keep it at play. It is just, it's mind-boggling. And that's the thing that kills me, is that because of how little the pay is, and because of how, sometimes it is very much an exclusive club, basically, to get into the industry, and about how Hollywood will just kind of push certain people out. It sucks that there are some people who have stories and who have ideas and who have performances and who have things that they want to say that we will never see. And as long as they are boxed out financially and because of what they look like and how they speak and just all these different factors, some of this is even going on beyond union things. It's just something I've been thinking about. It's utterly heartbreaking that there are, that just, even to just think about, not even just thinking about the future, but thinking about the past. It's just, there are so many stories that will never be told. And they're sure as hell not going to be told if we are not paying people enough to live. And as long as these negotiations go on, there will probably be some people that have to leave the industry that just can't, sustain it. It doesn't come down on them. It comes down to these studios and, these people that just want to grab as much money as they can, as if all their money is going to be gone. I can assure you, if you already have $400+ million and you got a yacht, I think you're going to be okay. Pay your writers, pay your actors, pay your performers, pay your storytellers. If there was anything that was the catalyst of this show, it's something like this. The struggles of telling your story a lot of times come to, how can I make a living? And, and I've talked about how, for myself, not only am I having a hard time finding the opportunities, but I also don't have the money to support, at the moment at least, I don't have the money to support my artistic endeavors that I can't just freely do. Like, at least when it comes to writing, which I've gone on a hiatus from my writing because I want to stand in solidarity. I know I don't need to do that, but for me, it's just how I feel. It's just what I want to do. And I just hate that everything just comes down to just greed. And it comes just down to people wanting to make a buck off of other people's hard work and not wanting to pay those people the money that they deserve. It sucks. It bums me out. Like, I'm screaming. I'm looking out at a beautiful nature. I'm looking out at trees and I'm sad. Not because of the trees, because they're beautiful. But I'm sad at the world that they grow out of. Just sucks. And I know. I'm not a naive little child, I don't have my blinders on to what's going on in the world. I know how the world works. It's just, especially when it's something that is the industry that I want to work in, it shouldn't have gotten to this point. It really shouldn't have. It really shouldn't have gotten to this point. If people were properly respected and given their due, this wouldn't have happened. But money and agendas push those people down, and it bums me out. And if I can get to one of the picket lines, I would love to support. It's a little far from where I am now, but I stand in complete and utter solidarity with SAG-AFTRA, the WGA. You guys are fighting the good fight. All every person that is there, every person that is doing things online, every person that is doing things at the unions, you are doing the work that will pave the way for so many storytellers to be able to do their craft and to work. And I stand with you, I salute you, and I will support you however I can. Truly, utterly, that has been the beautiful part of this, is just seeing so many people come to support and to fight for these things that we need. I truly hope that a lot of what is being asked for is given, because people deserve it. I don't want to keep ranting about it. I want to calm down, bring it back, reel it in a little bit. But yeah, I couldn't not talk. I talked about it briefly last week, but literally the day last week's episode released, this SAG-AFTRA went on strike, so I would be remiss to not talk about it, and I'm going to continue to keep talking about it, and I'm going to have guests on, and I depending on where they are in, what they do. I'm going to talk to them about it. And, I was supposed to go to San Diego Comic-Con, but I just had to back out just because I truly just couldn't afford to go. Even accommodations were made for me, but even with those accommodations, I couldn't go. It's going to be interesting to see what SDCC is like this year without the studios there, without actors promoting things, and hopefully maybe the comic industry will benefit from that. It is still called Comic-Con. As a lover of comics, that's one of my favorite storytelling mediums, probably right behind film, and film is my top dog, but comics I have a huge love of. There are some, if you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see there's some on shelf over here. There's a bunch. I have maybe too many. There's never no such thing. There ain't no such thing as too many comics. But yeah, maybe it'll actually be about comics. Who knows? But I'm hopefully after the hubbub of that is over, I have some people I want to bring on. Some people I know are going to that, and there's one person in particular who I really would like to have on the show as a guest. He is busy with that. He's doing a lot of stuff for that, so hopefully I can get him on as a guest. And I want to start reaching out to a lot of my colleagues, my peers, people I went to school with. I want to see, I graduated college 2 years ago, so I want to see where they are now. How do they look at this situation? What do they think it means for them, and so on. It might be, and even, episodes have been around 35 to 40ish minutes, around there, or a little under 40. I'm probably going to end this one here. I don't have it because I personally don't have a ton going on. Like I said, I've kind of set my writing aside for a bit, some ways in solidarity, but also because I'm having to try and find a job. Not because of anything to do with the strikes. I already was looking for a job because I've just been in a free fall a little bit, and I just need to find my footing and find something that I can get comfortable with and that I can make a steady income from, so that eventually I can get back to my personal work, have money that I can use towards that. But I think that's going to do it for this edition of Not Just A Guy. A little bit of a shorter episode, but I think the passion was just as long as it has been, just as powerful as it's been in other episodes. So thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening. Please rate and review. If you are watching on YouTube, please comment, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking. You can follow the show at Not Just A Guy Prod, Prod, on let's see, there's a Twitter, haven't really used it. Instagram and TikTok are the two main places that you'll get updates and things like that, little clips from the show. So please go follow those. You can follow me at Garrett Briones on Instagram, Garrett Briones. I have been your host, Not Just A Guy, the guy, Garrett Briones. If you're out there picketing, wear sunscreen. I support you. Stay in solidarity. See how you can support. And I will see you all next time.